Hello, movie lovers. Welcome back to the MTE Movie Podcast. I'm Jacob Bartley, your host of the MTE Movie Podcast, and this is episode number 14. Thanks for coming this far with us. We really appreciate it. I'm here with my regular co-host, Gio Ramos. What's going on, man?
Nothing much, buddy. First day of school. Real quickly, how was your class?
Oh, yeah. I had a class yesterday, a business class, 3 hours long. I don't know what I was thinking.
Back to school.
But I didn't mind the class. The teacher was pretty cool, so I'm looking forward to it.
Nice.
Honestly.
Nice.
But yeah, back to school. Everybody is back, and you know, the summer's coming to an end.
Playtime's over.
Moving into fall movie season, Oscar season.
There you go. Something to look forward to.
Arguably better than the summer season for me. I don't know. It's hard to choose.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, today we have our usual box office coverage to start with, and then we don't really have a main subject today like we usually do, but we just want to do some catch up on some reviews, some movies that we've seen recently that we want to talk about, and we're going to go over 3 movies today. We're going to start with our Man from U.N.C.L.E. review, which came out a few weeks ago, and Gio and I both saw it, and then Gio did do a written review of American Ultra, but we're gonna do an audio review here and cover it. You know, the comedy spy movie starring Jesse Eisenberg and Kristen Stewart, and then I'm gonna go over my quick thoughts on the movie The Gift, which it came out 2 or 3 weeks ago. Starred Jason Bateman and Rebecca Hall and Joel Edgerton, directed by Joel Edgerton. So I just want to give my quick thoughts on that movie. And then we're going to go into our open mic segment, which is going to be a little different this week. We're going to try something a little bit new with that. So just kind of giving you guys a little bit of foreshadowing what's going on today. So yeah, let's jump right into the box office results. So this past weekend, you had 3 major releases, and those were American Ultra, Sinister 2, and Hitman Agent 47. And it's kind of surprising to me, none of those movies ended up in the top 2. So for number 1 this past weekend, we got Straight Outta Compton in its second week, pulling in $26 million. Then you have Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, very impressive in its 4th week, pulling in $11 million. Then you have Sinister 2, another Blumhouse movie, I believe, another horror Blumhouse movie.
Yes.
I heard only has a $10 million budget. It made that money back today or this weekend with $10.5 million.
Nice.
That's insane. Like they're one of the best studios in Hollywood.
One of the most profitable.
Best production companies, I should say. I don't know if Blumhouse is a studio, but I know it is a production company.
Yes.
But they're just killing it. In 4th place, Hitman Agent 47 with $8 million, which is a disappointment. With a budget at $35 million. And then coming in 5th place, which was surprising to me, is Man from U.N.C.L.E. making $7 million. And I'm actually really happy because I really like that movie. And nobody in their right mind would ever estimate that it would stay in the top 5, especially from its week opening weekend last week. So, and then which ended up in 6th place was American Ultra with $5 million, which is a little disappointing. So, Gio, let's start with you. What stands out to you with these numbers?
Good for Straight Outta Compton. The word of mouth is spreading. People are telling their friends, their homies to go see it, and it's still pulling strong. And it's what, second week? Second week,
yes, right? Second week.
Yeah,
that's incredible for a second week.
Yeah. And Mission Impossible, Rogue Nation, still holding the number 2. These are 2 previous films that beat newly released films, like you just mentioned.
Sinister
2, American Ultra, and Man from U.N.C.L.E. It's looking back on August through the previous years, it's not really that surprising. This happens more than people might think.
Oh yeah, it does.
Yeah, The Expendables, when it first came out, it held on as more movies released after it, and same thing with James Cameron's Avatar. So that's pretty much what stands out to me. Sorry for American Ultra. It could have done a little bit better, but when you're out of the top 5 and all the things it had going for it, it's a little bit of a disappointment. And like you said, Sinister 2, making back its production budget in just one weekend. It's another hit for Blumhouse. And chances are we're going to see a Sinister 3, guys. So, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, it goes to show the best two movies on this list are the top two. Without a doubt, in my opinion. Straight Outta Compton is a phenomenal film. Mission Impossible, even better in my opinion. I might have liked Rogue Nation a little bit better than Straight Outta Compton, which that's not a knock on Straight Outta Compton. I loved it. It's a great film.
Yeah.
Haven't seen Sinister 2 or Hitman yet. I am planning on seeing both. For sure, Sinister. So, I mean, I haven't even checked the Rotten Tomato scores or nothing. I don't really want to know. So, I don't know if good or bad buzz is affecting the box office. But I can say that probably is the case for Hitman Agent 47, which I've heard a lot of underwhelming reviews. A lot of people didn't like that movie. I've heard there's some redeeming qualities in it, but, not good enough to build a buzz to get people excited. And I'm just glad for Man from U.N.C.L.E, man. After last week's performance at the box office, I expected it to do a lot less. I definitely thought it'd fall out of the top 5, make less than American Ultra. It made $7 million, which isn't that great. It actually only dropped 45%, but that's not saying much for how much it made last weekend. So I don't know. I'm hoping that movie can scrape and get its money back. I'll explain later why in my review. So, yeah, that's going to do it for the box office results. As you can see, a little surprising. I thought some of the new releases would at least make the top 2, but I guess not. People are still really interested in Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, and the buzz from Straight Outta Compton is relentless.
Yeah,
so
those two are too strong of films.
Oh, yeah, you can't. It's going to show. Nowadays, you have to make a great movie to at least stay in the top 5 at the box office. You can't turn in crap and expect to make, to capitalize on the profits. You can't.
Yeah.
So
unless you're Transformers, then
exactly.
You can make whatever the hell you want in that movie.
So take this as a note, studios. Make good movies, make more money. It's not that hard. All right. Well, with that out of the way, let's jump right into our first review. So this is our Man from U.N.C.L.E quick review that we're going to go over real quick. Again, I'm Jacob Bartley here with Gio Ramos, and we're going to jump right into it. Gio, we saw this movie a couple weeks ago. I was really excited for it. And were you looking forward to the movie at all before seeing it? Or?
I was. I like Henry Cavill and Armie Hammer. So I wanted to see those two on screen together. And so I was pretty much looking forward to this.
Yeah, so, you got a good director in Guy Ritchie. I like Guy Ritchie as a director. I enjoy the Sherlock Holmes films with Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, yeah.
And didn't he direct, I haven't seen it, but I heard it's like a classic, Snatch. Have you seen it?
Snatch and Lock, Stock, and Two Barrels.
Okay, so, a good director. I wasn't familiar with the source material, so apparently The Man from U.N.C.L.E. is based on a TV show from I think from the 60s or 70s. 60s. So here's basically a short synopsis courtesy of IMDb. So in the early 1960s, CIA agent Napoleon Solo, played by Cavill, and KGB operative Ilya Kuryankin, sorry I butchered that name, participate in a joint mission against a mysterious criminal organization which is working to proliferate nuclear weapons. So this movie also stars Armie Hammer and Alicia Vikander, who you might recognize from Ex Machina earlier this year. Great cast, great leads. So the reason I enjoyed this movie so much, well, let's start with I did enjoy it. I like it a lot. It's not in my top 10, I would say, but it's right outside of it. And the primary reason I enjoyed this movie is the 3 leads and their chemistry. I thought Cavill and Hammer and Vikander as a trio had great chemistry. I was very surprised with Armie Hammer and the Russian accent. If I didn't know who Armie Hammer was and I just saw this movie, I would have believed he's just a Russian guy, a Russian actor that they brought in.
Yeah.
And I would have liked that, but he did a great job. I thought he was fantastic when he would get mad and lose his temper. And Henry Cavill, the Man of Steel, Superman himself, he was so charismatic, I thought. His voice, like, he had that smooth talking voice, and I loved it. I can see why he was one of the front runners to be James Bond when they were rebooting it.
Yeah.
But they went with Daniel Craig instead.
His charisma. Yeah.
And Alicia Vikander, man. I've only seen her in 2 movies, and I am freaking in love with her. She's beautiful, and she's very talented. I thought she was great in Ex Machina. She's very charming and funny in this movie. That's where the positives start with me. Also, I really enjoyed the humor. It was very dry and very subtle at sometimes, and it was those things that, like, if you don't get it, then it's not going to be funny to you. You have to pay attention, and these little subtle, like, facial expressions or statements or things going on in the background, which I truly appreciate as a film fan. I'm always looking for little subtle humorous things in movies, and yeah, so those are my primary positives. Gio, we're going to get into our negatives after this, but I want to hear your overall impression of the movie and what you liked about it first.
So, for The Man from U.N.C.L.E., a lot of this film is really held up by Cavill and Armie Hammer and their interaction together on screen. They're great. I love their chemistry. You know, the two really know how to play their characters and play off one another. I also appreciated Guy Ritchie trying to make this film very fun. I felt like he made the best possible Man from U.N.C.L.E. that can possibly be made from this adaptation. So that was great. Alicia Vikander, she gave another strong performance. I thought, considering this is her follow-up from Ex Machina, it's a very strong performance. I really like that. And overall, I did have fun throughout the film. Not as much as I wanted to, but we'll get into that later. And that's pretty much all I have.
So overall, you feel mediocre about the film?
I feel a little bit mediocre, yeah.
Okay, that's fine. So yeah, I think this is a movie. It has like a 60-something% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is not bad. That's a fresh rating.
Yes.
And you know, a lot of people are just mixed around the web about it. I really think this movie's going to depend on personal taste. I really do. Mm-hmm. So, for me, like, if you remember, Gio, I was the only one, like, cracking up in the movie theater. I laughed I laughed out loud like 8 times just because, like I said, I was paying attention to those little subtle things. But I do admit it's not a great film. It's, in my eyes, it's a good movie. It's not great. And there was a lot of slow moments. And even though I enjoyed them, I can see where that's a problem for some people. And I could feel the audience getting a little wary in the theater. So overall, that's a negative for general audiences, not necessarily for me. At certain points in the movie, I didn't know where it was going. It was kind of hard to keep track of everything. And ultimately, I caught everything, but just like it took me a second to think about it. So, which isn't a bad thing. I like when movies make me think, but it was just a little confusing, like who's on whose side. And it's a spy movie, so you're gonna have that. But they could have been a little bit more clear on the way they presented all the information. Yeah, those are the negatives that I can pick from it. My main negatives. I might think of a few on the way, but Gio, you were underwhelmed by the movie. So what didn't you like about The Man from U.N.C.L.E?
Just to echo some of the stuff that you mentioned, it just wasn't as fun as it could have been, in my opinion. Lots of slow moments, not enough action. When I went into this film, I was hoping to see a little bit of what Kingsman gave us. That it made it fun, like you were sort of like, you cared about these characters, but at the same time, you also felt no, like they were in no real danger. Are we talking spoilers here or no?
I mean, light spoilers.
So when Henry Cavill is in trouble, towards the end of the film, we're not going to say what he's doing.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I didn't feel no real sense of danger because it's like, okay, where's Armie Hammer? He's out there. There's no way that he's going to let him die,
Well, I understand that, but he's the main character. He's not going to die no matter what.
Yeah.
But isn't it fun wondering, how's he going to get out of this? Like, how is he going to get out? He's going to get out, but how?
Well, I mean, for me, I thought, Armie Hammer. I'm just waiting for Armie Hammer. There's no way Henry Cavill is going to die. Also, with what I do appreciate, I didn't mention this as a positive, Alicia Vikander's character, there was a certain twist to her character.
Yes.
And I thought they were going the same route as Ex Machina when, her character. I was like, man, is she going to screw these people over too?
She's just an untrustworthy girl.
And I was like, man, gee, I'm really starting to not like this girl. I mean, just because
she's deceitful.
Yeah, but no, they went the other route, so that was good.
But they had you guessing though in a spy movie, which is a good thing.
That's a good thing. Yes. Also, the antagonist, no. I mean,
the
female Russian girl.
She was not a great villain.
No,
she was not. I didn't take her seriously at all.
Yeah,
and it's not because she's a female at all. It's because the way the actress portrayed her and the way they made her seem like she's over here having sex with Henry Cavill, and then she's against them. I know, spoiler. Sorry, guys, but yeah, continue. I agree. She is a negative.
Yeah, I also scratched my head a little bit at Alicia Vikander's plan. So wait, she went in deep with these two guys, the two leads. But then her plan is to betray them, get to her father, and expect the other people not to catch on. And, where was she going to go with this, assuming that the bad guys weren't going to catch on to her?
Well, you got to remember Hugh Grant's character was behind the scenes the whole time.
As the British guy.
And making sure everything goes right. And remember, she talks... I don't want to get into too many spoilers, but I see what you're saying. It was a little confusing. That's what I was talking about when they tried to... It was hard to keep track of everything, but...
It played out, but...
I think if you watched it again and paid more attention, not just you, but I'm just saying people in general, that'll make more sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it did play out, but, I mean, on the logic side of it, it was just okay, all right, whatever. Yeah. So, other than that, I mean, like I said, it wasn't as fun. Now, this is labeled as an action-adventure comedy. I didn't feel like there was enough comedy in the movie. No, I wanted this to be similar to, like I said, Kingsman, and whatnot. And Guy Ritchie, in the past, looking at his Sherlock Holmes movies, he gets his fun character moments out of people like Robert Downey Jr. or Jude Law. Their chemistry wasn't Henry Cavill and Armie Hammer. Their chemistry wasn't on the same level as those two.
Yeah,
and that's not a knock on the actors. That's just Guy Ritchie. Not giving them enough to play with, I would say, because he also wrote the screenplay. He's credited with the co-write. But other than that, that's pretty much it. I wish it would have picked up a little more and made the audience a little more interested in it.
Yeah, I understand your flaws. I just got to say, that's the reason I was saying that this movie is really based on personal preference, because I feel like there was a lot of humor, but it's very dry humor, very subtle humor.
And comedy is very subjective.
Exactly. Yeah. So I thought it was hilarious. This is big for me. I might buy this movie when it later on when it comes out. That's big for me. If I'm gonna buy a new movie, I like it that much because I just enjoyed the dynamic between the three leads so much. That's the main point. There's a moment. Let me ask you if you like this moment. There's a moment at the end of the movie.
Spoiler, maybe.
When Cavill gives something to Armie Hammer's character.
That was a nice.
Did you not like? Did you think that was clever? It was a nice little moment.
Yeah, that made that little side plot come to full circle, which is good. It didn't leave that plot thread, and that I did appreciate.
Okay, so see that it's not a bad movie, right?
No.
But it's not, in your opinion, it's not a good movie, but it's decent.
It's a bad movie. I'm not saying it's a bad movie at all. I think. What did I give it? Oh boy, let me look real quick. And another thing, Hugh Grant. I wanted to see more of Hugh Grant.
Yes, definitely. Well, here's the thing. I was going to ask you this. So the way the movie ends, they kind of try to hint towards a continuation of the story, correct?
Yes.
And it's probably not going to happen because of the box office return.
Unfortunately, no.
I want it to, though, because this was a nice way to bring the characters together. Don't you think their next adventure as a team, like a special ops team going on their own mission, don't you think their second journey could be a lot more fun?
I think it can be more fun. I think you have to give... If you're going to do a sequel, let's just put the hypothetical, right? You need a better villain, first of all.
Yes, definitely.
You need a better villain. And the trailers, you need to sell it that it's going to be more of a... more like comedy that appeals to a universal...
Oh, yeah. I agree.
You know? And definitely bring back with Guy Ritchie.
Yes, right. Guy Ritchie. Bring back Guy Ritchie. Bring back the three leads and Hugh Grant as their director.
Yes.
And if you can have Hugh Grant in like a Nick Fury type role, and then have these guys be the people out on the field, you don't think that calls for some interesting stories to tell?
No. Yeah. I do. Now the question is, are we going to get it?
That's probably not going to happen, which really upsets me because I really like this movie and I want to see it. Yeah. See a continuation of the story. Well, anyways, that's going to wrap up our Man from U.N.C.L.E. review. I really like this movie. I think it's a good movie. It's not great. It had its problems. But overall, I think it's a solid film, and I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. Gio, where do you lie with the Man of U.N.C.L.E. out of 10?
Well, let's see. I'm trying to find my review. I'm pretty sure I gave it a 6.75 out of 10. And I'm gonna stick with that 6.75.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. All right. Well, that'll do it for our Man from U.N.C.L.E. review. I personally think you guys should go check it out. You know, movies are based on personal opinion, so I think if you listen to my points and you enjoy some of the things that I mentioned, I think you'll like the movie. It's very fun and entertaining, in my opinion. Obviously, it has its slow moments, so just be patient when you're in the theater.
Let us know. Let us know.
Yeah, let us know if you do see it, if you liked it, or if you have seen it. You know, let us know if you didn't like it. Either way, you know, let's talk some movies. All right, now we're going to move on to our next review. We're going to go to our American Ultra review. So this movie we saw more recently, and Gio did write his written review. He put it up online, and you can find that on MovieTalkExpress.com. So American Ultra, the spy comedy starring Jesse Eisenberg and Kristen Stewart. This movie, who directed this movie again?
Okay, I'm gonna try to pronounce his name. Nima Norizadeh.
Is that a female or a male?
That is a dude. He directed Project X.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Which probably explains.
Yeah. Forgive me for not remembering his name.
It's not an easy name to remember.
Yeah, exactly.
Nor is he a big name.
Yeah, so American Ultra. I didn't think this movie was horrible, but I ultimately did not like the movie. It had a lot of problems. There were some really good things in there, but overall it really fell short for me. And I don't know. I was expecting a lot more. I'm rooting for Jesse Eisenberg. I root for Kristen Stewart too. I don't think she's a bad actress. I think she gets a lot of crap that she doesn't deserve. So, and they weren't the bad in the movie, so this is not their fault. It was just the direction and the story and the humor sometimes was just not working for me. But there were some redeemable things. Gio, did you like the movie or did you not like it?
So love the cast, but overall another underwhelming movie. One Collider editor, I believe, described this movie going in as supposed to be Pineapple Express meets Born Identity.
Oh yeah,
something like that. And when you mention those two films, you cannot talk about this movie because unfortunately it doesn't live up to that. I mean, it's similar as far as setup goes, but I mean, yeah. And I mean, overall, It does have a little bit of it sprinkles a little bit of humor here and there that you will respond to, but overall it's just not really good, honestly. And we'll get into why, because I have a couple things.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't really like this movie. I was like, while I was in the theater, I was hoping for it to end. That's what I got to say. But let me just go over a few things that I did like about
positives,
the movie.
yeah.
So I overall, like, when Kristen Stewart and Jesse Eisenberg, when not their love scenes, not making love, but what I mean, their romantic scenes, I actually didn't mind it. They seem like they would be a couple in real life, just like the way they are. Like, they look like the perfect couple or perfect brother and sister. I don't know. They're just like look so not similar, but like their style is very like they seem like best friends who would hang out or something, or people who would date each other.
Buy their
I buy their chemistry. It seems real,
cool.
And I know they did another movie together a few years
Adventureland.
ago. Yeah, I did not see that film, but it seems like they're friends in real life.
They are,
and so it seems like they have good chemistry. That was good. The action was awesome.
One of the highlights, yeah.
I thought I liked the action. I love super violent stuff, and this movie's rated R. They were able to go super violent. It was cool to see Jesse Eisenberg, who's typically not an action guy, do an action movie. Good for him. I forget. I always mispronounce this guy's name, but John Leguizamo. Pronounced his name probably wrong that time again, but I thought he was really, really funny when they brought his character in. I was enjoying him. Unfortunately, it was brought short. He wasn't in the movie for that long, but I really enjoyed his character. He was funny. And, that's pretty much all I liked about the movie. Gio, what did you like about American Ultra?
You have to talk about the chemistry between Eisenberg and Stewart.
Yes.
They're great. They're awesome. I love the whole setup. He's just a shy guy, pothead, who loves his girlfriend. He's trying to do right, And something happens in the beginning that prevents him from following through with his grand plan for her. You know what I'm talking about?
I do know.
And then how that plays into the movie later on. When he gets when he gets an explanation for his powers and his side effects and all that.
Exactly.
So
it made sense.
Yes. Also, you mentioned John
Leguizamo. I don't know.
Leguizamo. Yeah. Not enough of him, but still, when he was on screen, guy's awesome. He plays such a funny side character.
He was so funny. I thought
he is. He was great.
And you just reminded me of another really funny scene that we both laughed at. I think you know what I'm talking about. There's some funny stuff in this movie. That's all I gotta say. There's some really funny stuff.
There is, yeah.
Some stuff that we can't say because,
yeah,
it's kind of spoilers and it's very dirty. So we're just gonna.
And it's like one of the best, one-liners.
Yeah, there's some really good one-liners in there. So there are some enjoyable things in this movie. It's really funny.
It literally made you laugh out loud. You were the only one who laughed out loud in the theater, and I started laughing because you did, and
that was hilarious, dude. It came out of nowhere too.
Yeah,
and I don't think the people in the audience caught it.
Right.
I don't think they even heard. Or what's wrong with people? People need to laugh more, man. I'm tired of this going to comedies, even though they're bad comedies. People need to laugh, please. All right, continue, Gio.
Okay, all right. Anyways, and one final performance I'll mention: Walton Goggins, the dude from Django Unchained, who played Laughter, who got his teeth punched in.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, like such a perfectly cast.
Oh yeah, you liked him
in
in that role, didn't you?
He's a psycho, short-minded, violent human being.
He fit the role.
He plays it well. Yeah, that was great. And for the action sequences, in my review, I described it as sort of like a pothead with the skills of John Wick as far as fighting goes.
That's accurate.
That's pretty accurate. So I mean, when it was there and when it was put on full display, it was great. And Yeah, so I mean, a couple standout performances, and yeah, it was pretty cool. About as far as my positives go.
Yeah, so I mean, even though we enjoyed aspects of this movie, overall we both, I mean, I didn't like it. I wouldn't watch this movie again.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't. And there's a few reasons why. While I did buy the chemistry between Jesse Eisenberg and Kristen Stewart, I was actually kind of really annoyed with Jesse Eisenberg's character. Because, so, he's this stoner guy, right? And he's a hippie, whatever. He's earthly, whatever. So, is it really necessary for, between every sentence, for him to say like, da-da-da-da, like, da-da-da-da, like, da. Did you know? Obviously, you noticed that. It's right in your face.
Yeah, I noticed that somewhat.
Dude,
I mean, maybe that's why it was so, like,
it's more than you think. It's like in every conversation he has. And he says like 10 times in 3 sentences. And I just... There are people like that do that and talk like that. And sure, stoner people might be like that sometimes. But they went way over the top with the stoner image and the way stoners act. Trust me, they did.
Okay.
So that annoyed me. Topher Grace... I like Topher Grace. I grew up watching that 70s show. I love Topher Grace. I always wanted him to get more opportunities in Hollywood. I always did. But he's just getting horrible roles, man. He was horrible in this. And it's not his fault. He was written this way. The director directed him this way. They were going for this goofy, like, whiny, non-serious villain. And that's what we got. So it's not his fault. I think it was just the character that they made, so that's the fault in the script and whoever wrote the character and whoever directed him in his scenes. I was not feeling it. If they would have had like maybe a more serious villain in this movie, it probably would have made the movie a lot better. Or at least not more serious, but like just not as annoying. And also like the story with the plot and the government and all that, I wasn't feeling it. It wasn't horrible, but I just wasn't feeling it. So, yeah. Gio, those were my top negatives for American Ultra. What are yours?
Oh, this is going to turn into a Topher Grace review, like, real quickly. That guy, he's a viable actor, but he's just not good at playing a villain.
Oh, no.
Every film.
Oh, Venom. I was going to say, what other villain did he play?
Did you forget?
Venom.
Yeah. Spider-Man 3, not a good villain. Predators with Adrian Brody and where they're trapped on the planet where you play the doctor.
Yeah.
Not a good antagonist villain, whatever. And in this movie, it's just like, dude, you are not good at playing a villain, man. And every word that came out of his mouth, I was just like, shut up.
I do think there is a place for him in Hollywood, but he just has... Yeah. He needs to be supporting roles,
but not as a villain.
As like the lead's best friend or something. Like do comedies, do your strong suit.
Because even in a film like this, he's not a good villain. And this one, the villain's supposed to be, funny, like evil, but not as like like kind of like almost Dr. Evil like, but not.
Well, look at Samuel Jackson in Kingsman again. Yes. Going back to Kingsman. He was a goofy, funny villain, but it worked. It wasn't annoying.
Yeah, and I think clever. A lot of that has to do with the direction.
It was very clever, and
Matthew Vaughn too.
This character was not clever.
Yeah, and like you said, the government stuff. Oh my, like who? This would not happen in any for a film, for a movie like this. You have to shut off your brain a little bit,
suspend belief,
right?
Too.
But when the whole plot on the government and the agency and making this happen and clearance and classification and all that, it's like, come on, no way. Like there's only so much we can buy.
Let me ask you this. So this is kind of minor spoilers, but they kind of give it away. I think they give this away in the trailers. I don't know.
Well, anyway, spoilers.
Jesse Eisenberg's character his body's been altered. He's been engineered. He's not fully human, right? Mm-hmm. So they would not send this guy out in the real world and just erase his memory and expect everything to be safe, because even though his agent self is not activated, quote unquote, wouldn't he still have the same physical abilities?
Yeah.
So why are you going to put a dangerous person out in the world like that? Didn't make any sense at all. I understand the person who created him felt bad and wanted him to be able to live a normal life, but the government would never allow that. I mean, I guess in this world, but in the world in the movie, I mean, but not in the real world.
Yeah, I guess it's just the whole concept of like a pothead being a Jason Bourne character or something.
I thought that concept is. I thought that was clever.
Yeah.
But they just didn't execute it right.
Yeah, I mean, Max Landis. This is kind of a. This goes into your loss column.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and other than that, let's see. Like I said, there wasn't enough for John Leguizamo.
Yeah,
and
he should have been in the whole movie. If he would have been throughout the whole end, if he would have been in all those scenes.
Yeah,
he would have made it a lot better.
And also, there's another cameo in the movie towards the end. The head agency guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was a wasted cameo. I don't for what.
So?
Yeah, I was like, for what? Like, what is your point of being here? Just to shoot somebody and that's it? Like, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I didn't really like the ending of the movie either.
But one more positive, the ending.
The very ending.
When they're surrounded by the agents.
Yeah, so the very last scene of the movie is cool, but I mean, I was talking about the way the ending wrapped up. The story was stupid, but the very end, like the last 2 minutes of the movie, is really fun.
There's one scene that it's.
See, I think like fun. Man from U.N.C.L.E, they were trying to set this up for potential sequels, but it's definitely not going to happen. This movie made $5 million.
Yeah, terrible.
Holy crap!
But that's about it.
All right. Well, you heard our positives. You heard our negatives. Now we're going to give our overall score for American Ultra. Gio, let's start with you. What is your overall score out of 10 for American Ultra?
Well, on my written review, I had it at 6.5, and I think I'm going to stick with 6.5.
Yeah, as you can tell, I didn't like this movie very much. I think I'm going to be stingy and give it a 5.5 out of 10 for American Ultra. I think that's fair, in my opinion. All right, well, that's going to do it for our American Ultra review. Now we're going to move on to another movie that came out in the past month called The Gift. If you guys haven't heard of this movie, it's done pretty well at the box office. It's directed by Joel Edgerton, his first major Hollywood film directorial. You guys might know him. He was in the movie The Warrior with Tom Hardy, the UFC movie. He was in Exodus: Gods and Kings. He played Ramses. He was in The Great Gatsby. He's been in a lot of movies. And I really like him as an actor, but this is his first directorial, and he wrote the movie, and it's another Blumhouse movie. Another success for Blumhouse. They're just killing it. But yeah, so this movie also stars Jason Bateman and Rebecca Hall, as well as Edgerton, and the story is a young married couple lives are thrown into a harrowing tailspin when an acquaintance from the husband's past brings mysterious gifts and a horrifying secret to light after more than 20 years. So that was the synopsis on IMDb, and I gotta say, from the trailers and just knowing what this movie's about, I wasn't that interested because I was like, oh, it's gonna be another one of those stupid thrillers like what was that one with Beyonce and
Obsessed?
Yeah, something like that. Like, it was gonna be another one of these throwaway horror thrillers. It was very far from it. This movie is so unpredictable. It's so engaging. My eyes were glued to the screen every second. I had no idea what was going on, and that's a good thing. And there's so many twists and turns, but it's not forced. It's not cheesy. This movie is phenomenal. I want to put it in my top 10. It's right there. It's like my number 10 or 11 movie of the year. In a world where we don't get very many good horror thrillers, I don't really want to say it's a horror movie. It's more of a drama and a thriller. So,
okay.
But there are horror elements, obviously. Some of the positives, I mean, Joel Edgerton was creepy as all hell. I was scared of that guy. There was no Joel Edgerton in that role. He was playing the character that he created himself. He wrote the character. Jason Bateman, though, oh my goodness. So you guys know Jason Bateman is primarily a comedic actor. And while he has his sarcasm and his wit in this movie, like he does to every role, brings his own personality, he showed sides that I've never seen before.
Yeah.
Gio, the reason Gio's not reviewing the movie, he hasn't seen it yet, and I hope he sees it soon. But man, oh man, Jason Bateman was freaking incredible. Rebecca Hall holds her own. She's very strong. There's at least one or two scenes where she's the best actor in that scene. She was phenomenal, actually.
Yeah.
And again, the directing was incredible. The pacing, the tone, the way each scene transitioned after the last, it all flowed so smoothly. The movie wasn't too long. The ending was incredible. It left me with my mind blown. And the thing is, you have to understand this movie to appreciate it as much as I do. So if you watch it and you're not paying attention, just don't even bother. If you're going to go to this movie, pay attention and make sure you follow the thread of the storyline all the way through, and it's going to make perfect sense at the end and blow your mind as well. Of course, no movie's perfect, but unlike the last two movies I reviewed, there's not a lot of negatives for this movie. There were a few cliche thriller horror moments, but the way they put a twist on those made it clever in a way, actually. There was a few slow moments where a few dramatic scenes that were maybe unnecessary, but if you really put them into context, they contributed to the story, so maybe they were necessary. I really don't have that many flaws in this movie. It's one of the best movies I've seen all year, and I beg you to see it. So Gio hasn't seen the movie. He said he prepared a few questions for me regarding the film. Did you still have those?
Yeah. So going into this movie, what was the one thing you were the most excited about? It could have been the acting, the directing, the script, the story plot. So what was the most exciting thing going into this film, and did it live up to your expectations?
Well, there's two things. I was excited to see how Joel Edgerton directs.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very impressed. Like, for your first film, this is the perfect type of movie for a director to test their feet in the water as directors, because it's a low budget film. Blumhouse again. It's a small contained story involving real people, and it's about the story. It's about the characters. It's about the storytelling.
Yeah.
And he wrote and directed. I cannot wait to see what this guy does next. So yeah, I was very much looking forward to him directing, and I was very much looking forward because in the trailer they tell you there's a horrifying thing from their past, from Jason Bateman and Joel Edgerton characters' past.
Yeah.
And I was very excited to find out what that was. And the way they execute that whole plot is genius. And so yes, those are the two things I was excited for the most, and I was very impressed with both.
Okay. And obviously you think Joel Edgerton has a can
future in directing?
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. I think he's gonna get respect in Hollywood now, and I think a studio is gonna give him a chance on a movie with a little bigger budget next time. And I'm curious. I don't know what his interests are. Like, he must like creepy stories, but if he's into telling more, like, I could see him directing like Oscar quality movies. Honestly.
Okay. And there's no nitpicking negatives you have about the movie, like something that you feel is underwhelmed, something that you thought, okay, maybe you could have done this a little bit better, or something that you wasn't necessary at all that you felt like any negatives?
Like I said, you really have to pay attention for this movie, and I was with like a group of 5 people when I saw it, and I don't think they got it. So I think they could have been a little more clear on what happened in the past and how it affected the way the movie ended.
Right.
They could have been a little bit more clear, but when I think about it, it's almost impossible. Like, he made it as clear as they could have, so I don't know how you can get around that. Like I said, man, it's really hard for me to nitpick in this movie, dude.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't see a lot of flaws in it, honestly.
And last question, what other movies would you put on this level of The Gift? Like, for people who want an idea of, what kind of movie they can expect, like, what other movies would you say
that I can compare it to?
As far as quality goes, not just story plot line.
Oh, like, quality.
Yeah, quality and maybe story plot line.
I mean, it's tough because if you want to say story plot line, not quality, story plot line, it's very, because you know me, I love those psychological thrillers that you don't know where it's going, like
right.
Gone Girl or Seven. Story plot wise, it's like that. Like, okay. You don't know, you have no idea what's coming, and when it comes, you're like, whoa.
Okay.
So as far as story plot, I relate it to like Gone Girl or like Seven or even like Gone Baby Gone, movie that I watched recently, which is phenomenal. But as it's not as good as those movies though. Those movies are masterpieces in my opinion.
Those are
so. Yeah. I would say it's a little like those movies are 9.5s and this movie's probably like an 8.5, which I'm not sure if it's my score, but I'm pretty sure that's my score. But yeah, this movie's phenomenal. I love when the biggest thing it has going for it is I didn't expect it to be this good. Mm-hmm. And it totally caught me off guard, and I love that. I love it.
All right, and last question. What do you give it out of 10?
Oh, damn. That's a deep question, man. Nah. Yeah, I was going to give it a 9. But when I was mentioning Gone Girl and Seven, like, I just realized those movies are 9.5s. This movie's not that good. So I'm going to go with the 8.5 out of 10, which is a great score. That means it's a great movie. Anything 8 and above is great.
Yeah, so, it's a B. Yeah.
Yeah, 8 out of 8.5, or did I say 8?
You wanted to go 8.5, right?
Yeah, 8.5 out of 10. So there we go. I love the movie, honestly, and you need to rush out and see it, please. Unless you're scared of thrillers. But even if, go for the story and the characters and everything. So, all right, that's going to do it for our gift review. If you guys have seen the movie and you liked it, let us know in the comment section. Even if you didn't like it, please let us know. Anything regarding the film you want to talk about it, throw it in the comment section. All right, we're going to move on to our open mic section, which we usually do this every week, and this week we're going to do a little bit different. Usually we do each one of us, which usually 2 or 3 of us, brings up a topic, and then we go through each person's topic. But from now on, I think we're going to do just one open mic topic a week, and we're all going to switch off each week. So, for example, this week, Gio is going to bring up his open mic topic, and then next week I'll do it, and then, maybe the following week, Jake Berlin from Apocalypse will do it. So we're going to switch off. We're going to do one open mic topic per podcast. We're going to try this out and see how it goes. Kind of just to cut time down on the podcast and, keep things going smoothly. So, Gio, what is your open mic topic for today?
Okay, so this one's going to take a little while. So I will try and explain it as much as I can. And you stop me whenever you want me to repeat something. Because it's quite a bit. So, as many of you might know, or maybe might not know, but, might have a clue, Hollywood has a problem as far as female directors go in Hollywood. Many believe that the female directors are not getting enough opportunities to direct big budget films / the mainstream kind of entertainment. And someone via Twitter asked Colin Trevorrow his thoughts on the subject of female directors not getting enough in Hollywood. And Trevorrow's thoughts sparked a little bit of controversy to where he had to respond and clarify his comments. And all in all, it puts Colin Trevorrow, the guy who's about to direct Star Wars Episode 9, in between a rock and a hard place, because he's a guy who means well, but at the same time, word selection is very important, especially with social media these days, because anyone can read what you write or what you say in a matter of minutes.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to start off with Colin Trevorrow's comments on female directors and their position in Hollywood, and then we'll go from there. All right, so this is Colin Trevorrow via Twitter. I want to believe that a filmmaker with both the desire and the ability to make a studio blockbuster will be given an opportunity to make their case. I stress desire because I honestly think that's a part of the issue. Many of the top female directors in our industry are not interested in doing a piece of studio business for its own sake. These filmmakers have clear voices and stories to tell that don't necessarily involve superheroes or spaceships or dinosaurs. To me, this is not a case of exclusion within an impenetrable corporate system. It's complex, and it involves a component that I think is rarely discussed: very high levels of artistic and creative integrity among female directors. Maybe this is my opinion, and it makes me naive, but as an employee of two companies run by brilliant women, and I presume he's talking about Lucasfilm and Universal, I don't think I am. There is a sincere desire to correct this imbalance at the highest levels of our industry right now. And yes, it does make me feel a little terrible to be held up as a symptom of a social injustice. I'm a person. Nobody wants to be a part of the problem. So that was Trevorrow via Twitter. And
he wrote all that on Twitter?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
I thought there was like a limit for characters.
I guess he might have broken it up or posted a picture or something saying this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, he believes that many top female directors in the industry are not interested in doing a piece of studio business for its own sake, and that they have clear voices and stories to tell. Now, this sparked a little bit of controversy because he is speaking from his heart, but at the same time might be talking like it's a given, like it's some sort of concrete thing. And so actress Jamie King went on Twitter and responded, "As the next director of Star Wars and the rad Jurassic World, Colin Trevorrow, it's unfortunate that you believe this." Director Tanya Wexler also replied to Trevorrow's comments, "At Colin Trevorrow, I cannot begin to tell you how naive and wrong it is. I have all the desire in the world. I would kill to make a blockbuster." Now, furthermore, Angie Han of Slash Film wrote a piece and dissected Trevorrow's thoughts, and furthermore pushed a director who means well into more of a bad light. And so Angie writes, Trevorrow, this is what he said: "Many of the top female directors in our industry are not interested in doing a piece of studio business for its own sake. These filmmakers have clear voices and stories to tell that don't necessarily involve superheroes or spaceships or dinosaurs." And she responded to this by bringing up Ava DuVernay, saying that not all these directors are Ava, as a director with her mindset. And not all of them are going to turn down like Black Panther, because that was widely publicized.
Oh, yeah.
That she had the opportunity to direct a Marvel film, which would have, kind of softened this issue, but she denied it for her own personal, because she wanted a story to tell. And what she's saying is that not everybody is like her, has that opportunity. And she goes on to say Trevorrow wasn't a top male director when he got the Jurassic World gig. He was an up-and-comer with one minor indie hit, Safety Not Guaranteed. He's the equivalent of Cop Car, directed by, what's his name? Cop Car director.
The guy directing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I don't know his name.
Yeah, it's going to come. John Watts.
Yes.
Yeah, Trevorrow is like John Watts or Mark Webb when he got the Spider-Man gig and only had one indie film underneath his belt. And so they all are not like someone who is like Ava DuVernay, whose last film was nominated for Best Picture, or Catherine Bigelow, who's already got a Best Director Oscar. Like, these people are not the same as Ava and Catherine. So, and then she goes on to say Trevorrow's female counterparts, like women who are currently at their point in their careers that when he nabbed Jurassic World, are directors like Jennifer Kent, who directed The Babadook, and Maya Forbes, who directed Infinitely Polar Bear. And she goes on to say, last we heard, none of them were getting offered $200 million spectacles. Is it theoretically possible that studios have approached some of these women only to be shot down? Sure. But that's a fact that their names never crop up when we talk about rumors and shortlist of directors. And then Trevorrow, of course, responded, clarifying his comments, because some of these females might have misinterpreted, but they have points.
Yes, I agree.
So Trevorrow said, the last thing I want to communicate is that I don't acknowledge this problem exists. And he goes on to say, so I'm going to say what I have to say, and I don't want to, but I have to. Would I have been chosen to direct Jurassic World if I was a female filmmaker who had made only one small film? I have no idea. I'd like to think that choice was based on the kind of story I told and the way I chose to tell it. But of course, it's not that simple. There are centuries-old biases at work at every level within all of us. And yes, it makes me feel shitty to be perceived as a part of the problem, because it's an issue that matters so much to me. If I didn't care, I wouldn't talk about it in the first place. I do stand by the idea that a great many people in the film industry want this to change. I have made attempts at every turn to help turn the tide, and I will continue to do so. When I got the script for Lucky Them, released last year, I advocated hard for my friend Megan Griffith to direct. She did, and she made a wonderful film. On my next project, Book of Henry, nearly all of my department heads and producers are women. Will I give a female filmmaker the same chance Steven Spielberg gave me for Jurassic World someday? Let's hope that when I do, it won't even be noteworthy. It will be the status quo. And so he goes on to basically say it's becoming a filmmaker is not easy, and that it's years of rejection and disappointment. It's very hard, often grueling, and this job takes an insane level of endurance, sometimes delusional amounts of self-confidence, and how he's raising his one girl to be fearless and let her choose her own path. So clearly he has a personal connection to this issue. And so this is a lot to take in right here. Now, hopefully I've explained things clearly, but if not, you can go ahead and ask me and I'll try and clarify. But judging off of all of this, Trevorrow's comments, the female actress and director comments via Twitter, /Films comments about comparing Trevorrow and his counterparts and how they're not getting opportunities, and Trevorrow's last comments, what do you make of this? Did Trevorrow overstep his boundaries a little bit? Is he completely way off? Do these female people who, like filmmakers and actors and editors, do they have a point? Like, what do you make of this?
So yes, this is a lot to take in.
Yes, I'm sorry.
I didn't know. I honestly didn't even know all this was going on. So
Right.
I'm really glad you brought it to my attention. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
I just got to start off by saying I know it's a touchy subject. So whatever I'm about to say is my opinion, and I mean no offense at all to anybody, but this is just my opinion, and I got to say what I believe, and I can't lie about it. So
Yeah.
with that out of the way, I don't think that Colin Trevorrow overstepped his boundaries. He wasn't trying to be offensive at all. And everything he said made sense. It wasn't an attack on women as directors. And I don't know the business. He knows the business better than us, looking from the outside in, because he's in that world. He knows the producers and the studio heads. Maybe he specifically knows 20 women directors that have been offered big budget jobs and they turned them down. He could know those people and we would have no idea.
Yeah.
So you got to take things under circumstance. Like, think about who the guy is, who he knows. Like, these editors and stuff, they don't know what it's like inside the film world most of the time. So
Right.
But with that being said, no matter what's okay, you have to be careful with what you say when you're in a position of power and you have a lot of eyes on you.
Yes.
That's where he might have made a mistake. He should have just not said anything about this, because, and that's unfortunate, because we're living in a world where people are have to be afraid to speak their mind, because everybody reacts so crazy to somebody being opinionated on a controversial issue.
Yes.
That's ridiculous. And it's unfortunate, but when you're in a position of power, you have to watch what you say. And he was very careful with what he said. And I don't think he offended anyone at all. But I'm looking at it from my perspective. I'm a male. Obviously, I don't know how a female would take those comments. So, I don't think he said anything wrong, honestly. But I also believe he needs to be more careful. As far as the comments he got, I see where they're coming from. I just think they're misinterpreting him. So actress Jamie King, she said, she's direct. It's unfortunate that he believes this. He wasn't trying to express his beliefs in a negative way. He didn't come out and say that female directors don't deserve to direct these movies. Like I said, he's in the business. He knows it. So he probably knows directors and that have turned down big jobs, male or female. This is a really tough issue, and I just want to say, here's one thing you guys have to think about. So I don't know these exact numbers, but I'm just going to estimate. So how many young people set out to be directors, right? So let's say 100 people set out to be directors. How young people in their 20s, they pursue a directing career. How many of those people do you think are male, and how many do you think are female, percentage-wise?
Oh, I mean, when you ask the question, I don't know. Maybe I'm going to go 60-40.
Okay, that's fair,
male,
but
40
you admit
female.
There's a lot more males pursuing directing. There's a lot more males that have been directing. So this is not sexist at all for me saying this. There's more male directors than female. It's a fact. It's a proven fact. So when these jobs are getting offered, there's more male directors to choose from. And when you're talking about a big blockbuster, it's not typical for an indie director to get handed a big blockbuster. It's not typical. It happens. Colin Trevorrow, Mark Webb, Gareth Edwards. It's happening more lately. So, and up to this point, unfortunately, there's more proven male directors than females. It's just a fact. There's no way around it. So when studios that are making big blockbusters are going after experienced, proven directors, there's more males to choose from, and it's unfortunate. I wish there were more female directors that have made a bigger name of themselves. And it's unfair. It's honestly unfair. I totally agree. I guarantee you, if we're going to guesstimate percentages, I guarantee you that the studios go to male directors 95% of the time, and that's unfair, and that needs to change. But I think it draws all the way back to the people who pursue directing. There's more males pursuing directing than females. Maybe that's changing in these days, but it's just a fact. So you got to consider all of this stuff, and it's hard to talk about. Like, we're nobodies, and we even are trying to be careful on this subject. So like, I think people need to maybe calm down and try to look at the information that they're seeing, whether it's Colin Trevorrow making comments or somebody else making comments. Look at it and don't jump the gun. Don't be so reactionary and assume that he's being offensive. Think about it. He wasn't. I personally don't think he was trying to be offensive. So those are my thoughts on that.
And all right, so taking into consideration everything that you've learned in the past 10 minutes, what would you like to see from Hollywood within like the next 5 years? Now, for me, what I want to see, I don't want to see female directors, get offered gigs because they're trying to change.
Just because they're female.
Yeah. Just because they're trying to make or change their image or whatnot, or for their own benefit. I want the best storyteller
to tell the story.
The story, and that also includes looking for a fair amount of female directors and talking to them about possibly signing on to these projects. You look at Marvel, Kevin Feige, he's saying, now I don't know his exact comments, but he said something about they are actively like looking for female directors, ones who could potentially tell not like Captain Marvel per se. I mean, that could be a film, but look at Ava and Black Panther.
They were looking for Ava DuVernay for Black Panther, and I thought that would have been a great fit.
Yeah, like Marvel's aware of the issue. They're looking for a way to change this. They're introducing female characters, female superheroes, and whatnot. DC, Patty Jenkins
hired Patty Jenkins as Wonder Woman, and I don't mind that. It looks like she's directed some episodes of Entourage. She directed some episode, the pilot of The Killing, which The Killing,
I heard good things about that.
The first 2 seasons of The Killing might be the best 2 seasons on television I've ever seen. So I don't know if she created that show or not, but good for her. So that excites me that she's directing Wonder Woman. But I was upset because the original director on Wonder Woman was Michelle McLaren, who she's directed episodes of Breaking Bad. She's directed episodes of Walking Dead. She's directed episodes of Game of Thrones.
Was she attached at one point to Thor: The Dark World?
Yes.
Yeah. I thought so. Yeah.
And she was signed on to do Wonder Woman, and then they had creative disagreements, and she fell off, and then you got Patty Jenkins. So in a way, it's kind of okay. They're not really trying to make a difference because they're getting a woman to direct the woman movie, and then they're looking at a black woman to direct Black Panther. Like, is that racist or sexist in itself? I don't know, but
and we're not saying it is. We're just
I'm asking. I don't know.
Yeah.
So at least they're trying. They could easily just have got Kenneth Branagh to direct Wonder Woman. Or they could have got an email director to direct Black Panther. It's a tough issue to talk about, but I would love to see. I think there are a lot of female directors working on TV, like both of these directors, Patty Jenkins and Michelle McLaren, doing shows like Entourage and The Killing and Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, like there's talented women out there. I just think they need to be paid a little more attention to. Studios need to dig deeper and give them a fair chance. That's all we ask. Don't choose a woman just because she's a woman.
Correct.
Pick the best storyteller. Give female directors the same opportunity to get that job as a male director. And if the male director happens to be the better fit for the job, give it to him. If the female director is a better fit for the job, give it to her. That's my final statements on that.
Right. And we're seeing Trevorrow, like you mentioned, he's actively trying to fix the problem, hiring females to either direct or
be a part of his team. Getting female staff. Because that's where a career can start, being on set of a movie.
Yes, absolutely.
Maybe a female producer learns from him and goes on to direct,
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think Colin Trevorrow is getting treated fairly on this issue.
Right. Well, okay, we'll see. I mean, it's a problem in Hollywood, one that does deserve attention and something to be done about it. And hopefully, I can see more female directors and writers, producers, stand up and say their voices and encourage these young female directors to I mean, not that they aren't, but just like don't let anything hold you back. Go for if you think you're the right person for the project, and you lobby for it. You Tyrese Gibson it like he does in Green Lantern, and all that kind of stuff. And real quickly, I was just watching the 2010 Oscars when Catherine Bigelow won for the Hurt Locker Best Director. Barbara Streisand presented the envelope or the award, and she was like, this is a long time coming, and like everyone in the room was so happy that a female director won.
That's awesome.
It's great. That it's moments like that just make you smile, and So that's the open mic subject.
Yeah, just if you're a young aspiring director out there, don't be discouraged because of your gender, your race, or anything. I think that's where it starts. I think no matter what, whether it has to do with race or sex, I think people, they're like, oh, should I be I want to be a director. Should I go for it? No, mostly white males are directors. I don't think I'll have a good chance. Don't think like that. Go for it, because that's where it starts. If there were more women and more other races other than whites looking for director jobs, and they'd get them. So that's where it needs to start. So follow your dreams and go for it.
And let us know, what you guys think on this subject in a respectful manner. Of course, we're being respectful on our approach for this subject. So please be respectful and let us know your thoughts. Educate us a little bit if we're way off or whatnot.
Yes, please don't be afraid to share your thoughts. All right, that's going to do it for the MTE Movie Podcast, episode number 14. I'm Jacob Bartley, the host, and I'm here with Gio Ramos. Where can they find you online, man?
You guys can find me on Facebook, Jojo Ramos, at Twitter, Jojo Ramos24, Movie Talk Express every day, and math class on Thursdays. Yeah.
Yeah, you can find me, Jacob Bartley, on Twitter, Facebook, everywhere, Jacob Bartley. And you can find our site at movietalkexpress.com. You can find us on Facebook at Movie Talk Express. And please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you like talking movies or you just love movies in general, especially genre films. We can talk about those all day.
Subscribe,
please, and hit that like button. And we'll see you next week. Thank you for listening.